Hello guys, welcome to Talk Session with ChiChi. If you are new on this channel, please kindly subscribe and hit the notification bell. We'll be continuing on the Covenant series. However, the title of this series is not the words of the covenant. It is still under the Covenant series, but I would call this episode the testimony of the covenant. Okay, so the testimony of the covenant is under the Covenant series. So if you're new on this channel or you're just stumbling across this video, all you need to do is search for the Covenant series and follow from the Words of the Covenant. Words of the Covenant has 2 episodes, and the next you will be on is this one, the Testimony of the Covenant. When the Lord speaks to you, you need to be very, very discerning, because the real thing is inside the word that He speaks to you. That is why Jesus said, the word I speak to you, they are spirit and they are life. It's not something that you should look at casually, because if you look at casually, you will miss out. You will miss out. Alright. We also need to know that where establishing the covenant is concerned, God is coming to man saying, I want to establish my covenant with you. You need to understand that in establishing the words of the covenant, the Lord will speak words. There is a message. That message is what I refer to as the words of the covenant. So in establishing the covenant, the words of the covenant is spoken or preached. It is spoken or preached, and it demands that it is believed upon. It demands that it is obeyed. That is why when Abraham believed, it was recorded to him as righteousness. When Noah acted, he believed, he acted in faith. He was recorded that he's a just and a perfect man in his generation, on the basis, on the platform of the covenant. Because if he's saying in Genesis chapter 6 that he found grace, then there is no work. It was on the basis of the message of the covenant being presented to Noah that he was found a just and a perfect man, not because he did right all the time. Okay, that is why in Romans chapter 5 it says, therefore, being justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. So being justified is to be made innocent. All right, Romans 5 verse 1, it means to be made innocent, and it also means to be righteous. So how are we declared righteous? By faith. So you cannot talk about faith without a message. You can't talk about faith without a message. You can't talk about being just, being righteous without a message. All right. So we are justified by faith. Then he also went in verse 2. It also says in verse 2, by whom also we have access by faith. We have access by faith into this grace wherein we stand. All right. How do we gain entrance into grace? By faith in the message. All right. So when he says Noah found grace, it means he heard something. He heard a message. It was on the basis of the word, the covenant being spoken, being preached by God. All right. So our faith has brought us into grace. Right. So how did Noah find grace in the eyes of the Lord? He believed in the message of the covenant. He believed in the words of the covenant, or he acted in accordance to the word of the covenant. So Genesis chapter 6 verse 9 that reads that Noah was a just and perfect man. He was a perfect man in all his generation, and he walked with the Lord. Now you see all those things listed in verse 9, they are reward or recompense of Noah's response to God establishing his covenant, right? He did not work for it. He earned it by his response, by his reactions. Okay, they were rewards of him choosing to obey or to believe in God establishing his covenant. So just like it was counted, it was credited. So Abraham, righteousness was credited because he believed. The same way justification, righteousness, perfection was credited to Noah on the basis of his response towards the words of the covenant. So you see that God establishing his covenant is what Moses described as grace in the eyes of the Lord. Grace in the eyes of the Lord is how God establishes his covenant with man. Grace, or finding grace in the eyes of the Lord, is how God establishes his covenant with man. All right, thank you very much for listening to this session of Talk Session with ChiChi. Next week, we will also be looking at the Covenant series. Yes, we are still staying on the Covenant series. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.